guys, it's Kira and welcome back to another festive video. It's only been a couple of days since I last spoke to you, but I feel like I have loads that I want to chat about, starting with my next read. If you watched my last video, you'll know that I was deciding between two books for my next read this December, and they are I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue and Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. I put polls up on both my YouTube community page and also my Instagram story, and the winner from both of those places was I Hope This Finds You Well, so that is going to be my next read. This book sounds really interesting. It's actually a new release from this year, and I feel like it's going to be just a very fun read. I do apologise because I have some dried flowers on my bookshelves, and Raymond has decided that they are the ultimate snack, so that's why he just jumped up on the bookshelves and I'm now confiscating them. But this book says, would you want to know what your colleagues say behind your back? Jolene certainly doesn't. She's riddled with anxiety, depressed, and hates her co-workers. The less she knows, the better. But so when a catastrophic IT fuck-up grants her access to all of their emails and private messages, she's initially horrified. The last thing she wants is to be privy to their sad discussions about dying desk plants and marital troubles. That's until, with job cuts looming, she realises that the power this newfound knowledge gives her. But as she digs deeper and deeper into the private lives of her colleagues, Jolene uncovers a lot more than she bargained for, and the walls she'd so carefully built start crumbling down. I feel like this is going to be a really fun read, quite interesting. Again, I'm having to confiscate the flowers, would you stop? But yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun read and one that I'm hopefully going to really enjoy. So that is going to be my next book for December, and I'm excited about it, so thank you to everyone who voted in the poll and helped me choose. I'm going to be starting this one today. The next thing I want to chat to you about is also book related, because I decided that it would be really fun over the Christmas period, particularly once I've finished work for the year and have a little bit more time on my hands, to do a 24-hour readathon. If you've watched my channel for a while now, you'll know that I love 24-hour readathons, and there was a time, probably around COVID, when I was off work and therefore didn't have like any real responsibilities because I was on furlough like a lot of people and had way more time on my hands, where I did so many 24-hour readathons, and they were a lot of fun. But over the last couple of years, as obviously like life has gone back to normal and day-to-day 9-to-5 work has taken over, I haven't found the time to do anywhere near as many of these 24-hour readathons, and I thought that it might be fun to bring back some of my old sort of content and do one. So I thought it would be really fun as well, because 24-hour readathons are such a great opportunity to basically just like lose yourself in a book for a while and really challenge yourself. And a lot of the time I focus on trying to get through as much of a particular series as possible in 24 hours, or focus on reading books by a specific author. And this time I thought it might be fun to try and see how much of a challenging classic I could get through in 24 hours. So the three books that I've narrowed down my selection to are The Count of Monte Cristo, which is huge and is also one of Jay's favourite books of all time, The Master and Margarita, and also Crime and Punishment. So those are three books that have been on my shelves for a long time. Raymond, could you be any more disruptive whilst I'm trying to film this? Truly. But those are the three books that I have narrowed down my selection to. And again, I've put a poll up, and so far The Count of Monte Cristo, the largest book on the list, is winning. Definitely leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts on it. I think I'll be doing this in the next few weeks, like I say, once I've finished for Christmas and I'm no longer working 9-to-5 during the end of December, and I'll have a bit more time in my hands. But I'm very excited about that. I feel like it will be a really fun challenge. Well, that was just rude, wasn't it? I'm now covered in dried flowers. But yeah, that is the reading updates. How can someone so cute be so destructive is the question that I ask myself on a daily basis about Raymond. But yeah, there we go. Excuse me as I repot my dried flowers. Probably in vain, because let's be honest, he's going to knock them over again in just a few minutes' time, but we've got to try and restore order. So there we go, 24-hour readathon coming up, and I guess actually I'm almost certain it is going to be the Count of Monte Cristo, although there are still a few hours left of the poll, so we'll see if anything changes. But if anyone else wants to join me for a classics 24-hour readathon, and you think that that would be fun to do as like a community thing, then let me know and we can set an official date. I'm currently between either next weekend, when I'm going to have a free date, which will be the 14th of December, or leaving it until the Christmas holidays have started, so that would be somewhere between either the 21st and the 23rd of December. So let me know what you think and whether you'd be interested in joining for that festive well, not festive, the Count of Monte Cristo is not a festive book, but for a 24-hour readathon of a challenging classic in the lead up to Christmas time. So let me know. If not, I'll just tackle it solo and let you know how it goes, because I will of course film a vlog. But if anyone wants to join, you'd be more than welcome. And we just see how far we can get, because let's be real, I'm not going to finish it on the day that I start it, but I can certainly give it a good go. So that is everything in terms of reading updates. Now the next thing is that I said in this Vlogmas period I was going to be doing festive tea taste tests in the lead up to Christmas, but I've actually decided to mix things up today with a coffee taste test, and that is because Nespresso have brought out almond croissant flavour coffee pods. And I love almond croissants so much. They are one of my favourite foods of all time. And this is a festive limited edition flavour, so I thought that it could still work for our taste tests. And it also felt very serendipitous because I actually didn't have an espresso machine until literally yesterday, but I saw that these pods had come out and thought that I would order some anyway because my sister has one, so I thought at the very least I can use her machine to try them. And then my dad decided that he didn't want his machine anymore, so I have inherited his Nespresso machine just in time to try the almond croissant coffee. So without further ado, it is currently Friday lunchtime on the 6th of December, and I'm just about to go make myself some lunch and, more importantly, an almond croissant flavour coffee, and then we'll do a taste test and see how we like it. I feel like this coffee could literally taste like anything and I would still happily drink it because I'm running on empty this morning. Today has been really hectic at work, so I have only had time to have a digestive biscuit for breakfast, which is not really a healthy breakfast, but it was all I could scram between meetings. So this coffee is much appreciated regardless of how it tastes, but it does smell exceptional. Like, there is just a really lovely frangipane smell to it that smells just like the best bit of an almond croissant, which is obviously the almond filling. So I'm going to give this a try and hopefully it's a firm favourite, in which case I've still got enough time whilst it's on limited edition to stock up on as many pods as possible. So cheers. I absolutely love that. It's not like overly sweet. I guess you could put some sugar in or syrup or honey if you wanted to add some sweetness, and I might try that next time just to see how that elevates the flavour. But it just has like a really nice, like, I guess, how do you describe the flavour of almond? Just like a sort of subtly sweet, nutty flavour that just feels really, really nice. And I actually often wish that they would do like almond syrup in coffees. You know how you can have vanilla or caramel. I feel like almond would be a lovely like flavour to add to coffee, and that confirms it. I definitely think next time I'm going to add some sweetness just to see how it goes, but that is absolutely delicious. A very good way to christen my new Nespresso machine. So with that said, I'm going to drink this coffee, try and eat something proper before getting back to my desk for the afternoon, and then this evening I'm going to get started on reading. I hope this finds you well. It might be Christmas time, but I feel like this lighting that I've got going on right now is giving more spooky stories around the campfire vibes. But I do apologise for the artificial lighting, except for the Christmas tree, which I don't think we need to apologise for because it is lovely. But aside from that, it is currently 8 o'clock on Saturday morning and it is not yet fully light outside, but I'm just waiting for my friend Sarah to come pick me up because we're going out for the day. And so if I don't catch up with you now and make do with the artificial lighting, I don't know what time I'll be back, so we're just going to have to make do with it. And I did want to share a reading update with you because last night I started I Hope This Finds You Well. I'm on page 75 currently, and I really do feel like this could be a favourite book. It is really reminding me of another favourite book of mine, which is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I read that book, I think it will have been 2018 when the book was published, and it was around this time of that year, at Christmas time. I think I'd finished work for the year, so I was on my Christmas break, and I loved that book. It was one of the last books that I read that year, of course, and it was definitely my favourite. It made such an impression on me. I just think that the story, the characters, the writing style, everything was exceptional, and it felt like a really unique book to me. And this book equally feels unique. It's definitely not like a copy in any way, but there are just some really clear similarities between the main characters of the book and the situations they're finding themselves in and the way that they interact with the people around them that just feels really familiar, and I'm just really enjoying it. So like I mentioned yesterday, this is a book where we have a main character who is the book primarily takes place in this office setting, and the main character is given access to other people's emails in her office at a time when there are going to be layoffs being made, and so she's trying to use the intel that she's getting from all of these emails basically to sort of make sure that she's not one of the person that is let go from the company. So the book starts with her basically in a disciplinary meeting because she has distanced herself from all of her colleagues, and ultimately she kind of hates everyone that she works with, and she hates her job, she hates her life essentially, which is very similar to the way that Eleanor Oliphant starts. But she has a little bit of fun with it in this book because basically she emails her colleagues and then writes really horrible PS messages at the end of it, basically telling them how much she hates them and despises them as a way of like cathartically getting out all of that emotion. And then she changes the font colour to white so that the message is there but it's kind of hidden. But one time she sends a message to a colleague and forgets to change the font colour, which starts this disciplinary meeting, and the reason that she ends up being given access to everyone else's email is that the HR team was supposed to put some security on her computer, but something's gone wrong and she's accidentally been given like top security access. Instead of them being able to monitor her, she's monitoring everyone else. So it starts off with that as like the premise of the book, and I just think it's so funny because an office setting is ultimately quite mundane but also really recognisable to most readers because, let's be honest, most people work a 9-to-5 job, and although this is definitely, I guess, a caricatured version of what an office is really like, there are definitely just parts of office politics and the way that colleagues interact with one another, and I guess just like the social dynamic of an office setting that will just feel so funny and familiar to readers. And I feel like it is just a genius place to set a book because it's something that people can really recognise, and therefore it really speaks to people, but also it's done in such like a fun and funny way that I just think it really works. But as well as having that like lighter hearted tone, I think that there are definitely some more serious elements to the book, and we're getting the impression that our main character is not a very happy person, and I think that's where I'm really recognising the similarities to Eleanor Oliphant as well. And we have this other character who is a HR guy in this book. In Eleanor Oliphant, that same character was like an IT guy, and this is like the one person that the main character starts to kind of like soften with, and also the one person that seems to have like a nicer impression of our main character, and I just think it's really nice to see that like relationship blossom. So obviously I'm only about a quarter of the way in. I'm really excited to see where it goes, but just recognising those similarities between this book and Eleanor Oliphant, I am really confident that I'm going to enjoy this one and that it is going to be a fave book. I just feel like it has all the makings of something that I'm going to really enjoy, and I also think I'm going to be able to get through it quite quick. quickly. Just choked on my own words then. But yeah, so started this book, really enjoying it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. As I mentioned, I'm going out with Sarah today, so I'm just waiting for her to pick me up so that we can go out. We're going to the Yorkshire Dales today, and we're going to go to the Wensleydale Creamery, so a little bit of a random day out, but I'm quite excited for it. And we'll see, I'm sure we'll end up finding ourselves in somewhere that will do coffee and cake, because let's be real, that is the primary purpose of any day out that me and Sarah go on. So with that said, I'm gonna get ready, get my things together, and then head out the door. I feel like I'm having a very productive Sunday morning. It is currently just after 9 AM and I have tidied the house, hoovered, steamed the kitchen floor, and now gotten ready because we're just about to head out for some breakfast. Today is the final F1 race of the season, so that is like the main event of the day for Jay, and it starts just after lunchtime, so we don't have time to do anything major today, so we've just decided to have a more chilled out morning, organising the house, and then going out for some breakfast, which we're just about to do. But whilst I wait for Jay to just get ready to leave, very quick reading update. I am now on page 127 of I Hope This Finds You Well, and I am really enjoying this book. I feel like it has a really fun undertone to it, with just like, there's a very playful vibe to the way that the book is written, but there is just like a hint of something slightly more serious with the main character's history, and I think maybe like the deep down reasons why she is so isolated from other people in her life. And then aside from that, although it is very light-hearted and funny in its like general vibe, there is also like, I don't know, a feeling of there being, I guess, like quite a high stakes scenario, because obviously in the main point of the book is that her job is at risk and she's doing everything that she can to try and make sure that she doesn't lose her job. So it's like you've got the half like funny side of it, and then also the like serious side where you're like, oh god, I really hope everything works out for her. But you can tell that because she's doing something that she shouldn't be, that at some point in the book it's probably all going to come back to bite her and everything's going to go wrong. But then we can only hope that after that everything does resolve itself and work out for the best. But of course the only way that I'll be able to find that out is by carrying on reading. So yeah, I'm probably about a third of the way into the book now, heading out for breakfast, and then I will do some more reading when we are back. Nice.
Sehr gut. Should old acquaintance be forgot, and days of old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet, for days of old lang syne.
I mean, I have to promise you that despite the fact that I'm actually doing a very good job at it, I'm not intentionally cosplaying as Hagrid right now, but I did make the mistake of going outside with my hair down, and in the wintertime the elements are always against me, and I've returned home looking like I'm doing a very good job of playing Hagrid. But I promise you that wasn't my intention, but we will just have to tuck the hair away and deal with it, do our best to ignore the mess that is on top of my head. The top looks kind of alright when I sweep it back, but then the ends are where all of the chaos seems to lie. But regardless, I'm doing a very good job unintentionally of doing a Hagrid cosplay. Now I started, and I am also finishing this vlog with the almond croissant flavour Nespresso coffee, because I decided that today would be a great day to treat myself to the sugary version. I don't tend to have sugar in my drinks at home. I used to all the time, and then it dawned on me that because I drink so many hot drinks, I was just consuming an obscene amount of sugar through drinks, so I cut it out altogether, and now I usually only have sweet drinks when I'm out and about at a coffee shop. But today I thought I would really test my hypothesis that the sugar is going to bring out the almond croissant flavour even more. So without further ado, let's give it a try. It really does smell just absolutely exceptional. It smells like the combination of when you have yourself a delicious fresh almond croissant and a coffee on the side, and I feel like it just brings together that experience. A pastry and a coffee is an absolutely exceptional experience, and I think this drink is trying to bring that into one cup. So, taste test time. Yeah, that definitely does elevate the almond croissant-y flavour slightly more, because obviously almond croissants are actually quite sweet, and so to have like a bitter coffee with like a slightly almondy undertone is like really nice, but it doesn't quite hit the same as a proper almond croissant, whereas I think adding the sugar in just like marries together the flavours that little bit more and just, yeah, takes it to the next level. So that is delicious. I will say that I think that part of the appeal of this coffee isn't necessarily that it's like the most incredible tasting coffee, but it is the fact that it is bringing together that coffee and pastry experience that everyone loves so much into one cup, and I feel like it does that very, very well. So big fan. And in other good news, I'm also pleased to say that I finished my read of I Hope This Finds You Well, and I loved every single page of this book because I feel like it was just such a brilliant combination of like humour with grit and depth, and I feel like I really enjoy that in books where you can have like both a fun and light-hearted time but also get to know characters and feel like there is some meaning to what you're reading. So it's not entirely light-hearted, but it isn't also like completely depressing either. I feel like there are times and places for both of those types of books, but sometimes it's nice to be able to find one book that kind of does it all. And I think because of the fact that it doesn't go to the extreme on either side in terms of being comedic or in terms of being serious, it also rings far more realistic to like actual life experiences and makes the characters just feel that little bit more relatable. I feel like this book has a very like dry, dark sense of humour is kind of the overtone of it, and I feel like that does such a good job of like bringing together the two ends of the spectrum that you find in this novel as well. And overall, although the concept is really funny, you do find yourself feeling like there are some quite high stakes things going on at the same time, and like really rooting for the characters that you're reading about. So I did really, really enjoy it, and I think it was a really fun and enjoyable reading experience from start to finish, and because of that I managed to get through it in only a few days, which is a big win in my opinion. And the comparison that I made at the beginning to Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, still rings true at the end of this book. I feel like in both of these novels we have a main character who is in a lot of ways not very likeable, but also has these like sparks of something inside them that makes them intriguing and makes you want to root for them. And as the book goes on, I guess like as we see in Shrek, the layers get peeled away from these characters like an onion, and what seems like quite like a hard and unlikable character on the surface becomes someone that you really, really like and root for and want to see succeed. So I feel like in both of these books we have that experience. We also have like a workplace setting in both of these experiences, and I guess like the hint of something darker beneath the surface that has maybe happened in the past of these characters that explains why they're so kind of like isolated and set back from the world. So these books are, I guess, in the eyes of someone like Anne of Green Gables, kindred spirits, and I think if you enjoyed one of them you would definitely enjoy the other, and I would definitely recommend that you pick them both up. And if you haven't read either of them but you enjoy the description that I've just given, then I would recommend both, because I really do feel like these books are such enjoyable reads and so well worth picking up. Though I will say that I think I Hope This Finds You Well is kind of the lighter version, although there is still some grit and depth to the characters in this book. Overall, I don't think it goes anywhere near as much into depth to like the characters' kind of like dark past and the traumatic things that have happened to them as we get in Eleanor Oliphant. So I would say that Eleanor Oliphant is one to go into with like a bit more preparation, that you might feel quite impacted by some of the things that happen in this book. It is quite dark at times, and although I think both books have an uplifting conclusion, you have to kind of work through the process a lot more in Eleanor Oliphant, and I think you really do feel like you're reading about a real life character, and therefore what you read about feels all the more impactful and all the more devastating. So both books really good, very similar, and if you've read both of them I'm sure you'll be able to understand the comparison that I'm making. But I would say that this one is one to go into and expect to have a more funny, light-hearted experience, and this one is one to go into and expect to have a little bit more emotional impact. But both are brilliant, and on that note I actually think that the next book that I might pick up is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, because I always feel the urge to reread some favourite books at this time of year, and it's been a long time since I last picked this one up, and I feel very motivated to, having just made all of those comparisons and reminded myself of why I enjoyed this book so much. So I think that will be the next book that I do pick up. And on the subject of books, to close out this vlog, I think that we are trying to make some decisions, and by we I mean me. I'm trying to make some decisions on when to do my 24-hour readathon of this behemoth, because this one by far won the poll to decide which classic I should try and tackle in a 24-hour readathon. And I think that I'm basically torn between a couple of weekends. If I consult my calendar, because I can't actually remember how these weekends all fall, I'm torn between doing basically the next weekend, which is the 21st and 22nd of December, so the weekend before Christmas, or I think probably slightly more likely is the 28th and 29th of December, because I don't feel like the Count of Monte Cristo is all that festive. And also the final weekend before Christmas is always a busy one, whereas I think the weekend of the 28th and 29th I'm probably likely to be a little bit more chilled out, have a bit more time to focus on the book, and also I won't be needing to read something that feels festive and uplifting. So let me know what you think I should do in the comments down below if you've got a preference for either of those days, or if you'd like to join me. But I'm likely to start the readathon on the Saturday and take it through to the Sunday. So nervous. I'd love to know how far into this book you think I could get in 24 hours. If I could get halfway through, which is basically 650 pages in 24 hours, I would be very pleased. I've definitely read more pages in 24 hours for other readathons, but I also think that the content of this book, the text size on the pages, and just the fact that it is a classic rather than a contemporary book will mean that my reading pace will be slower. But I'd love for you to make your bets and let me know how far you think I might be able to get in 24 hours. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon for another festive video.